Dangerfield. All right there. Now, as promised, more standalone videos. I'm trying to up my SUBSTACK game. Link in the description. £1 a month, £5 a month. You decide. Now, admittedly, at the moment, this looks like the worst threesome ever. But this is hilarious. So, you know comedian Sam Hyde. There's this, unless most of you will probably know, but there's this thing now, influencer boxing. Like, big YouTubers go in and have fights, real fights. They're kind of 2-minute rounds, 3 rounds. And in fairness, that's if you're not a proper fighter, that will knacker you out. It will absolutely knacker you out. But unsurprisingly, our man Sargon knows fuck all about fighting. Nothing. Like nothing. But worse than that, this fella here, not only does he know fuck all about fighting, but his masculinity sort of drains away from him. He looks awkward and nervous that his boss, let's be honest, his boss Carl has dragged him in to talk about fighting, and it reaches peak cringe when Carl actually even says to him, "You've gone very quiet," and he's so this is going to be a short video, but it can't be missed. It's just beautiful. So let's run away with it. I've probably got the volumes a bit fucked now. Here we go.
And after about 2 minutes, you'll collapse. So we'll go through the fight now. Sam Hyde is kind of famous, actually, for having a giant roundhouse punch, right? A massive right hook. And you've put out videos of him, you know, with the guy.
Already, I mean, I don't know what this fella's name is. I do watch the Lotus Eaters, but I don't pay much attention to probably Patrick or something. You can kind of get that feeling. Already, you see him feeling out of his depth. The man's never thrown a punch. He's never been hit, and he's nervous that his king and lord, his Sargon of Akkad, is coming across all masculine, and he feels like he can't live up to that. He's gonna be unknighted.
Putting his thing up, and then he just throws his way into it, and it's a wallop, almighty wallop. Terrifying.
you know when someone knows about fighting when they describe a punch as wallop. An almighty wallop, Carl.
Right, okay. But
look at Patrick. Look at the way he's just looking at Carl. Look. You're not. Look. That's a lover. That's a lover. The moment they realise that their partner isn't the bird they thought she was. He can't believe that his king and saviour is talking about fighting.
But that doesn't actually work in real life because, of course, your opponent is moving.
From Sargon of Akkad, of course, who's never stopped fighting. I mean, a life on the streets.
Let's watch the first clip.
Now, I must say the fight is actually excellent because Sam Hyde is a different class of entertainer. And he's a monster. I mean, he stands like 6'5" or something, and probably half that wide. I can't remember who the other bloke's name is.
Got to imagine how gassed up they are.
They're actually professional boxing commentators who are commentating the fight. It would appear I've clipped Patrick out, but it doesn't really matter for this bit. It's the chat that's important.
Oh, clipped him coming in. Overcommitment there from Sam Hyde. This is 3 rounds, fighting 9 minutes, possibly. I don't think we're going that long, mate.
That's interesting, because the commentators are obviously professional boxing commentators, and these are not professional boxers. But, as they point out, you can see, they're both...
Look at Patrick. Patrick looks like he's just wiped his arse and his finger's gone through.
Massive dudes. Like, Sam Hyde is like 6'5", and this other guy must be like 6'3" or 6'2" or something. And look at the size of these dudes. They are huge, right?
Look at the silent partner.
And so, like, you would expect just massive punches. And that's
no, look at the squint. He's now squinting he's looking at the future of his employment now. You know, maybe I need to be somewhere less masculine. Maybe I'm a more effeminate person than I thought. That's where he's looking, the horizon of his potential future job. Because at the moment, he's not competing.
That's what Sam tried, but the guy just went under it and then clipped him, right?
Sargon, the bloke just went under it and clipped him, right? You know, put in the comments how many times you reckon Sargon's had a tear up. Like, you know, minus numbers are accepted. That means someone's just walloped him over the head with a traffic cone.
Doesn't work in real life. And Hyde obviously learns from this because he decides to...
Look at Patrick. Look, let's just take that back a couple of seconds. Patrick has an almost ungodly shiver. He sort of... Let's just have a look at that. Hang on. Keep your eye on Patrick here.
And Hyde obviously learns from this because he decides to fall back, and this is probably the best tactic.
Patrick's now consulting his notes while Muhammad Sargon is cracking on with his fighting talk.
He basically boxes like Homer Simpson. Have you seen the Simpsons episode where he just takes...
Incredible reference. I mean, if you're going to talk about someone's abilities in the ring, go to Homer Simpson. I mean, that's a classic boxing reference. I mean, don't mention any of the great boxers because Sargon can't. He goes to Homer Simpson. Patrick, even Patrick here, look at that face. Even Patrick is now getting suspicious of his god and saviour Carl here, that he's gone to Homer as an example of how to fight.
Takes punches until the opponent is exhausted, then poof.
Oh, you mean rope-a-dope by the lesser-known boxer Muhammad Ali? Fucking Homer Simpson. Poor old Patrick. Come on, mate. Come on. You'll be playing Dungeons and Dragons again later tonight, and Sargon will stop all this fighting talk.
Well, that was basically this fight for Sam Hyde. Right?
It's a brilliant strategy.
It's a brilliant strategy, especially if you're...
That's all he said, which in itself is a brilliant strategy because... and Sargon should learn from this. If you don't know, don't say.
Built like Sam Hyde, who actually does look like he's kind of just made out... He's just a giant sack of potatoes that the opponent has to now wear himself out on.
Still now, nothing from Patrick.
Which is what he does. Let's watch.
What's that over?
Incidentally, the fight gets stopped because the other fella's just dead on his feet by, I think, the start of the third round.
As you'd expect, Sam Hyde has a chin on him. I mean, he's got a head as big as a house.
It's got a concrete block for a chin.
It seems to be true, but as you can see...
Patrick can't believe this is still going on. Look at look how uncomfortable he is with it all.
Hyde is just taking the blows, right? You can see the energy economy there, right? So he jabs the guy, throws his...
Carl jabs the guy, he jabs the guy, yeah. Yeah, keep it up, Carl. What happens next?
Massive right hook, but it hits...
Look at Patrick's face. Patrick's as convinced as you and I. Look. Carl, stick to your Dungeons and Dragons, mate.
Hyde's shoulder. I mean, okay, massive shoulder. You know, what's the point? You could hit that all day and do nothing to Hyde, right? And doubtless same for the other guy, you know.
And Sargon of Rocky of Akkad.
Hyde's not throwing a lot in the early stages.
Hyde's throwing about as much as Patrick's talking.
Which is really smart because his opponent is really going for it. And so it carries on. Let's go to the clip 3.
This is taking it back to the early days of influencer boxing in terms of technique. And that's going to happen when you get two big men in there, you know. They're not going to be able to do what we've just seen in the last fight. They're too muscle bound, you know. They're not made for boxing, but that's what makes this great. I don't think they were playing around when they were posting videos of themselves on social media drinking beer, though, Keem. I think that was...
I think Sam Hyde posted a video the day before saying he was tripping, and probably was.
That was true.
But notice again, you can see it very clearly there. Hyde, essentially
Patrick's still looking all over the place for a way out.
like triggers him out, and then he
Look at Carl's thumb over, look. Yeah, he triggers him out. That's it, Carl.
oh, massive blow, but it doesn't
Massive blow. That should have cheered Patrick up.
really do anything to Hyde. You know, he's hitting him in like non-vital areas, right? But the amount of effort it gets Hyde to like.
That is amazing. Look at Patrick now just looking at his balls shrinking. He's looking down at his shrinking balls. He suddenly realised something here, that, you know, Sargon of Muhammad Ali is actually a fighting man. He's got fighting talk. And Patrick's balls have shrunk smaller than they even were before this. And this is the end of a relationship happening in front of our eyes.
Like, get him to expend twice the effort in a massive throw, like, doesn't work. And so by about 7 minutes
Patrick's face.
in, and 7 minutes is a long time in a boxing match.
Yeah, how many times have you gone 7 minutes, Carl? I mean, those days in the 90s.
You can see that Thompson is just staggering on his feet from all of this expended energy. Let's go for the next one.
We'll go all the way.
You're absolutely right, but now we're starting to see it from Sam Hyde.
Hyde has that. He's just
I mean, a little bit of Homer Simpson technique there from Hyde. A bit of Mickey Mouse in there too.
not going to it enough. There you go.
There it is again.
There you go.
And that's where Ian Thompson needs to be. He needs to be inside. He's the smaller guy with the shorter reach.
But when he's
This is becoming a brawl. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hyde is hurting Thompson now.
I think Sam sensed that he's on wobbly legs, exhausted.
And you can see it in the guy moving, right?
Ah! Look at the answer. Look at the lovers' look between them. Carl, you can see it in the way the guy's moving, right? Patrick, look. The look of a man who's realised that Sargon isn't the man he loved.
You're very quiet about this.
Look at Carl calling it, look. Look at Carl's little smile, look. He's well glad for the first time in his life he's been the bigger fighting knowledge when amongst manlets. Let's see what Patrick says and we'll wrap this up.
I don't have much to say because I don't know much about boxing.
No, I don't, but just look at them. Look at the way they're moving.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck off. See you later.
That's so exciting and it's so amazingly attractive.
Sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet.